In ROS 3.4, and you'll find this section on page 45 of the textbook, we're introduced to the notion of inseparable prepositions. Now, let's just begin first of all with the concept of prepositions. In English, a preposition is a word that is prefixed or prefaced to, it's not really prefixed, but it precedes or is placed before another word that indicates a relationship among words. So I could say something like on the top. Okay? The word on is a relational word known as a preposition. And I could talk about eating on the top of the table. And there, eating is related to the concept of the top via the preposition. I could talk about things like, over the rainbow. Okay? And there, I'm using the preposition over, and it draws a relation between some other word and whatever the object of the preposition is, which is the word that immediately follows, or the phrase that immediately follows the preposition in English. So on the top, over the rainbow, these are, the top and the rainbow, the objects of these prepositions. Now in Hebrew, we have prepositions as well. These prepositions that we're talking about here are known as the inseparable prepositions because they are prefixed directly to their objects, okay? Prefixed directly to the object of the preposition. These prepositions do not occur as separate words like our English words on and over do. Rather, whatever the object of the preposition is, these are going to attach directly on the front of them. So let's talk about what these words mean, how they normally occur. All right? I've written the inseparable prepositions here, first of all, and the meanings that are associated with them, at least our first year Hebrew sort of meanings. You will learn that prepositions can have a multitude of meanings. This is true in English as well. But the preposition lamed, which will be pronounced here as le, means to or for. B, in, with, or by. And here the by doesn't mean by as in next to, but by as in by means of. Okay? By means of. Someone fell by the sword means they were killed by means of a sword. Okay? So, not that he fell down next to a sword. Not that kind of falling by a sword. And then k, with the kaf preposition, that means like or as. Now what I want you to notice, first of all, is what sort of vowel pointing these inseparable prepositions have. What kind of markings are these? These are shavas. In fact, they are vocal shava. And that's the first thing that you need to know about these inseparable prepositions, is that they come standard with a vocal shava. These inseparable prepositions come standard with vocal shava. Now, when I use the expression come standard with, I'm really drawing upon the automobile industry, where cars come standard with certain sorts of features, like, a steering wheel and 4 tires, right? Those are standard features of a car today, and really of all ages. For the most part, cars come standard with air conditioning too, right? So these are standard features. Well, you should expect those things when you buy a car, and whenever you see an inseparable preposition, lamed, bet, or kaf, you should see a vocal shava. That is the normal vowel pointing. They come standard with vocal shava. Okay? Now, what is it going to look like when we see these attached to an object of the preposition? Well, they're just going to go directly on the front of the word along with the vocal shava. So let's look at a couple of examples. Let's take a word like king. The word for king is melech. Okay, you say that with me, melech. And this all by itself means a king. Now, what if I want to say to a king, as in he sent a letter to a king? How would I do that? I would take the lamed and I'm going to write the lamed directly in front of the mem of melech, and I'm going to put a vocal shava under it, and this is all going to be written close together so that it forms a single word. Now it really is made up of two parts, but it is still considered a single word because the lamed is prefixed, and it is now a prefix on the word. So lemelech means to a king. What if I want to say like a king? What do? Well, I get rid of my lamed preposition, and I just attach the preposition kaf. Now, since kaf is a begad kafat letter, it is going to come standard with a dagesh lene. We'll talk a little bit more about that next chapter, but it will also come standard with a vocal shava. So kemelech, like a king. And then if I wanted to say in a king, what would change here? Well, just the consonant that represents the preposition, but the vowel pointing, again, is still a vocal shava. B'melech, in a king. All right? So that's what it's going to look like when you have an inseparable preposition attached directly to a word, and they will always be attached directly. You will never see an inseparable preposition hanging out with some distance between the preposition and the word to which it belongs. If you ever see that, what it simply means is that some poor first-year Hebrew student didn't write it properly. Now in ROS 3.5, we come to a situation or a concept known as the rule of Shava. I like to refer to this as the Red Rider problem, and I will explain what I mean by that in just a minute. But there is a problem in Hebrew, okay? And the problem is that two vocal shavas cannot be side by side, okay? If you ever come to a situation in Hebrew where you have two vocal shavas that are side by side, there's a problem. Two vocal shavas cannot be side by side in biblical Hebrew. And so that is going to be a problem that needs to be resolved. And the way it's resolved is referred to by grammarians as the rule of Shava, and it is referred to by Dr. Marshall as the Red Rider problem. And in order to introduce the Red Rider problem, I have to explain to you what the concept of a Red Rider is. Now, many of you may be familiar from your childhood with BB guns, and Daisy was a company that made the Red Rider BB gun. And the Red Rider BB gun was immortalized in a movie, a Christmas movie. It's not exactly my favorite Christmas movie. In fact, I really don't care for it that much. I thought it was rather bizarre. And so I don't necessarily recommend it to families to watch. But the Red Rider BB gun was immortalized in this movie because a little boy named Ralphie wanted a Red Rider BB gun. And so he asked for one for Christmas. And all he was told was that he couldn't have one because it would shoot out your eye. So take a look. I'm going to show you a short video just introducing the movie and the Red Rider concept.
There it is. The holy grail of Christmas gifts, the Red Rider 200-shot range model air rifle.
Ralphie, what would you like for Christmas?
Horrified, I heard myself blurt it out.
I want an official Red Rider Carbine Action 200-shot range model air rifle. What I want for Christmas is a Red Rider BB gun with a compass in the stock and this thing which tells time. Wow, that's great.
A Red Rider BB gun with a compass in the stock and this thing which tells time. No. Shoot your eye out.
Oh no, it was the classic mother BB gun block. You'll shoot your eye out. Oh no. You'll shoot your eye out? My mother must have gotten to Miss Shields. There could be no other explanation.
You'll shoot your eye out! You'll shoot your eye out! No, I want an official Red Rider Carbine Action 200-shot range model air rifle.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
Well, hopefully you found that a little bit entertaining. Now let me explain to you why I like to refer to this as the Red Rider problem. Let's say you have a word in Hebrew that begins with a vocal shavah, okay? And then you're going to add to it, oh, I don't know, something like an inseparable preposition. What do the inseparable prepositions come standard with? Like the lamed? Well, they come standard with a vocal shavah as well. Now, what do I have here then? I have a vocal shavah immediately beside another vocal shavah. Two vocal shavahs at the beginning of a word. What's the problem in Hebrew? Two vocal shavahs cannot be side by side in Hebrew. And so how is this going to be resolved? Here's the way I like to picture it. And they say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Imagine that what you're looking at here with these two dots in the vocal shavahs are not just dots, but eyes, okay? These represent the eyes of one young man. These two represent the eyes of another young man. And this vocal shavah's going to resolve this problem of not being able to be next to this vocal shavah through violent means. What violent means are going to be used? Well, this vocal shavah is going to take out a Red Ryder BB gun and shoot out one of the two eyes of the vocal shavah in front. So the Red Ryder problem is two vocal shavahs side by side. It is resolved by a Red Ryder BB gun. So we shoot out one of the eyes, and now what is that vowel? That is a kyric. It is a short I-class vowel. And if it's short, and it's to the right of a shavah, what is this shavah going to now be? Vocal or silent? It's going to be silent, or as I like to describe it, the vocal shavah will shoot out one of the eyes, and then it will become silent about it, right? Nobody who shoots out someone's eye is going to tell anyone. So when he's asked, he'll be quiet. He'll be silent. So two shavahs, this one shoots out one of the eyes, becomes silent. So let's look at some real life examples of what happens here. Now, I may have mentioned this before, but if I haven't, I'll say it now. Hebrew is a violent language. There's just all kinds of violence, and we're going to see all kinds of crazy things happening in this language. Hebrew is a violent language. Okay, so what if I have a word like Shlomo? Remember Shlomo? That is the Hebrew name for Solomon. Okay, and it has a vocal shavah on the front of it because that's the shavah under the beginning letter, beginning consonant, Shlomo. I want to say that I am going to send a note to Solomon, and I'm going to add my lamed preposition inseparably with its standard vocal shavah. Now I've got two vocal shavahs. They cannot be side by side. How will we resolve the problem of the two vocal shavahs? This vocal shavah takes out his Red Ryder BB gun. He shoots out one eye, and then he becomes silent about it. So how am I going to pronounce this? Le Shlomo becomes Lish Lomo. Lish Lomo. Okay? So that is now silent. Lish Lomo. To Solomon, or for Solomon. Now look below. What if I have a word that begins with a compound shavah, and not a vocal shavah, not just a simple vocal shavah, but a compound shavah, and then I want to add a vocal shavah in front of it? Is the compound shavah a kind of vocal shavah? The answer is yes. And therefore, these two types of shavahs, both being vocal, cannot both stand together at the beginning of this word. So what's going to happen here? Well, it is another Red Ryder situation, and it's going to be resolved by a Red Ryder BB gun, but this time the ante is upped because the compound shavah is much more violent than the simple vocal shavah that was over here. And he's going to take out his Red Ryder BB gun, and he's not just going to shoot out one of the eyes, but he's going to shoot out both. And he's going to replace it with the corresponding short vowel of the compound shavah symbol. Well, here, this compound shavah has a pathak in it, so we're going to replace the two eyes, the vocal shavah, with a pathak, a full short vowel. Okay? Now you may be thinking this is rather pathetic, but yes, it is. So let's take a look at the word adama. We had this just a little earlier. It's the word for ground, right? Adama. And we want to add the preposition bet, let's say, in ground. What's going to happen here? I have a compound shava. I'm adding a inseparable preposition bet with its vocal shava. Both of these cannot coexist together, and so we will find both eyes are shot out by the compound shava because he's a nasty little booger, and replace that with the full short vowel of the corresponding vowel element in the compound shava. So ba adama, ba adama. Okay? Let's take another example. Let's take the word Edom. Edom is a place name in the Hebrew Bible, Edom, and it's written Edom. Edom. Okay? And I've got a compound shava here. If I want to say in Edom, I have a vocal shava followed by a compound shava. What's going to happen? We are going to see the Red Ryder problem, resolving this with a Red Ryder BB gun, shooting out both eyes. But now, here, my compound shava has a segol with the shava, so I take the segol part of the compound shava and I will put it under the bet where the two eyes used to be. So I get be adom, be adom. All right. So these symbols are going to match the compound shava symbol. Only these will be full vowels under the preposition bet, and the compound shavas will stay exactly the way they are. They do not become silent about it because these are brazen guys. They don't care if anybody knows what they did. All right, so that is the rule of shava, or what I like to call the Red Ryder problem. Hope that is memorable enough for you.